Hi, laying in here. I just wanted to give a quick little care guide. Oh, do you hear my cat in the background playing the piano? He does that. Anyway, today I wanted to give a quick little care guide and introduction to red cherry shrimp. They are one of the most interesting pets that I have ever had. They're really fun to watch. Like, once you get over the fact that they're basically roaches of the water, they're really fascinating, and they're really fun to like find different things to feed them and watch them give birth. The way they give birth is amazing. The moms basically carry the eggs, the fertilized eggs, on them until they're just about starting to hatch, and then as they hatch, release them. And it is fascinating. I would love to catch it on video sometime. Cherry shrimp are easy to keep in the sense that once you have an established colony, they do well, but it can be kind of difficult to get your colony established. You need to have a very well cycled tank. It needs to be very heavily planted. Like, they need plants. It is also very, very good for them to have things like calla wood, other types of wood that grow mossy, fungally things for them to eat. Just so you guys know, I have a layer of duckweed on the top of this tank, and so sometimes at certain angles the camera shines through really, really green, and I just don't want you to think that my water's disgusting and green. Cherry shrimp, feeding them is probably something that you have to do depending on your colony size and your goals. If your goals are just to keep a handful of shrimp looking pretty in your tank, you rarely have to feed them. If you want them to breed, you need to probably be feeding them at least once a week. And that can be a little bit difficult because if you're feeding them more than they can eat, they end up having waste in their tank, and you need to take something like this turkey baster and get it out right away because like all aquatic animals, they are sensitive to nitrates and nitrites and ammonia bubbles and things like that, but shrimp also really don't like to have their environment messed with, so big water changes are really difficult to do with these guys. Usually what I do is throughout a week or two, I pinch out this long hair algae I'm dealing with. I pinch out the filters getting really scummy. I, do some kind of like maintenance. And then when it gets a little low, I'll like top off an extra gallon of water conditioned with Prime. And that seems to be going pretty well for me and my breeding purposes. My shrimp stock I started with, you want to start with healthy shrimp stock because you're not doing anybody any favors with a breed like this that's so specialized to get unhealthy ones. So yeah, start out with some shrimp from a store you really, really trust or breeders you really, really trust. Some of mine come from a local breeder. Some of mine come from Rachel O'Leary, who's awesome. And actually, a few of mine come from the Petco by my house because I literally have the best Petco of anywhere in my area. Like, their fish department is just great. I talked to the guy, and it turns out that he actually used to be a zookeeper at the St. Louis Zoo, and now he's the Petco Small Pet and Aquatic Manager. So that's great. I felt good buying some from them. And so the initial maybe 15 crabs I got from different crabs. I have crabs on the brain because I got hermit crabs this weekend. Shh. More on that later. So yeah, I got maybe 15 shrimp to start out with, and now I have more than I can possibly count. For me, I usually feed this tank about once a week with something different each time. Sometimes it's a couple of peas, sometimes it's an algae wafer, sometimes it's a couple of bloodworms. They love just about everything. You want to be sure they're getting a balanced diet. And they will just eat on the fungus from the wood and the algae and a lot of that stuff on their own. So you definitely don't want to overfeed them. But if you want them to breed and make you little shrimplets like this, you do have to feed them some and pay some attention to it. So yeah, get yourself a very established tank. If you're not doing a species only tank, I would get more than 10 gallons. I would get, if you're trying to do shrimp and fish, I would get at least a 20 gallon. This is a 10 gallon and it's shrimp only. And that has worked out very well, but I think if I had fish in here competing, they would eat a lot of the shrimplets, and I wouldn't get to experience all these fun babies. They do best in temperatures around 72 degrees. For most people, that's room temperature. I do keep a heater on mine just in case of sudden swings in my house, because it happens. And they tend to enjoy a slightly higher pH. Not too high, but they'll do really well at like 7. And I don't know, I like to think of them as like taking care of a bamboo plant. Like if you just do a little bit of work on their tank every day, it just can be so, so beautiful. But they are not a good pet for if you're interested in like the really like, this is going to be big and I'm going to change it up, and that's not really shrimp's style. They really like it when you set up their home and don't mess with it for a while. But yeah, they're a lot of fun. I highly recommend getting them if you are interested in something that goes well in a 10-gallon tank, maybe even a 5-gallon tank. They're probably one of the few species that can really thrive and breed and have a super active colony in small nano settings. Lots and lots of plants and places to hide are a huge, huge thing for them, especially with the baby shrimplets needing places to hide. Redoing this, I would probably use gravel instead of sand. But I do have several little gravel areas for them, and they do hang out in those little gravel areas and numb on things. I kind of refer to this as the nursery area. And then over here is the more grown-up area. Also, a lot of times itty-bitty babies, like maybe you can see on the back of the tank there. They just like to glom on to that film that grows on the inside of your aquariums. So you should just let that grow for them. Okay, I think that is all I have to say about cherry shrimp for now. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm sorry if I seem a little down. I've tried making like 5 other videos today that were a little more, involved more editing and things like that. And I'm just sick and I'm down and I just can't do it. But I did want to do a video on these guys because they are really, really fascinating little creatures and really one of the most interesting pets that I've ever owned. Love your pets, and they will love you back. Even the shrimp.